What is up, everybody? It is Lawrence again from My Squeakers. Today we have a very tech-heavy sneaker that I'm giving a second chance, but honestly, I'm not that impressed. And I really wanted to be. But without further ado, here is the Adidas 4D FWD for forward. Look at that beauty. Look at that tech beauty. All right, so what's really exciting about this sneaker is that it is done in the Tokyo colorway. So Adidas, I believe, is releasing 17 sneakers across many different types of sports in this specific color scheme. I do like the way this looks a lot. It has pretty much predominantly white and black, but then also has either streaks or pops of this orange color. I think it looks super clean, and to celebrate the Olympic Games in Tokyo, me trying out this 40 is kind of a big deal. I haven't tried a 42 in a really long time. I believe it was called the ZX 4000, one of the lifestyle sneakers that they released in 4D, I think almost like 3-4 years ago. And I really love the style of it. I really wanted to love that sneaker, but ultimately, like the problem with 4D is, especially that type, was that it was significantly heavier than it looked, and so you would get these really heavy midsoles with very light uppers, and ultimately it just didn't fit. There was just a huge juxtaposition. In addition to that, 40 itself, while it seems like be super airy because there's holes in it, it really was not flexible at all, and it was actually really firm, much more firm than even your typical kind of like old school like rubber type sneakers. So let's start with the rundown like we always do. So this sneaker retails at $200, which is a very expensive sneaker, but extremely cheap for 4D. When these came out, you were looking at around like $350 to $400 retail, and then you had these Y3 versions that were $600-700. They're really hard to get, but now you have a $200 sneaker, which is only $20 more than the Ultra Boost. So if you're looking at technology and all this stuff, this is a pretty good, I'm gonna put this in quotes, deal. Moving on to sizing, I would go, actually, I would say if you could try these on, I would definitely try these on. So to put things into context, I'm typically a 7.5 true to size. In Ultra Boost, I typically go up to an 8, and then I went true to size on this pair, not knowing whether it would fit big or small, and it seems like it would fit true to size for most people. There's a little more room that I would like on the true to size, just like a very tad bit, but not much, in the forefoot. However, if I went down half a size, I know it wouldn't fit for sure. And I would say the other thing about kind of the upper is, from a sizing perspective, is if you have really wide feet, you actually might still go up to your Ultra Boost size to be able to accommodate this, because like I feel like I'm at the very cusp of either being too wide or too short for my specific true to size. The style, there is a pair that released before this, which is relatively limited. It looks very similar, but it's done in black. I really like this white version a lot more. I really like how the colors pop with the orange, the three stripes in terms of this kind of like TPU overlay, and then finally like on the midsole, I don't know if you can really see that, but that midsole is pretty much white. It looks like it's actually like 3D printed with this orange color, but it seems like it might be like a spray paint or something like that. I'm not 100% sure, because on one of the sneakers that you can see that there's like a little paint actually right there. Pretty much on the outsole. Style-wise, I really do like the sneaker. It looks really sleek on feet, as you can see. And honestly, I really love the way it moves on feet. Like it looks like a lattice, but I don't know. The structure of it is really interesting. It looks almost organic in nature. Almost kind of reminds me of the Westworld skeletons, which I think is kind of. In terms of comforts, this is where I have so many issues. Comfort-wise, what would I score this? I'm gonna give it a 7.5. This is significantly more comfortable than any other 40 I've ever tried. It is relatively lightweight. I wouldn't say it's a lightweight sneaker, but it is relatively lightweight for 4D. It doesn't feel as clunky in general, like the way my foot kind of falls into it, and you can see this on the Onfeet. It feels like a regular, maybe not a regular sneaker. It feels like it has air. And like, when you're thinking about like Nike Air products that have a lot of air, so think like the the Vapor Max, but to a lesser degree, or like, you know, the 270. I'd say it's kind of along those lines in terms of feel. It doesn't feel exactly the same. Like it definitely has a different foot feel, but it's not the same old 4D that I would talk about, which is just completely firm and just felt like I was like literally like hitting concrete every single time I took a stride. The other thing is the upper is actually really tight for me. I believe it's probably going to loosen up over time, but that was, you know, this would probably be an 8 if the upper was a little looser. For me, the instep over here is really tight. All right, so let's start with the review of the Adidas 4D FWD. So the upper is made out of Primeknit Plus. I don't know exactly what that means, but I do know that the upper is made out of Primegreen material. Maybe it's what the plus stands for. Primegreen is made out of... To the Adidas website, this product is made with Primegreen, a series of high-performance recycled materials, 50% of uppers recycled content, no virgin polyester. So we know that this polyester has never fucked. But overall, the knit pattern is really comfortable. It's, like I said, it is light, a little tight on the instep, but I do feel like that's going to dissipate over time. But it has a very similar to a Adidas Ultra Boost 1.0 pattern in the very front. And it is tighter knit in the kind of midfoot area, and then it's a little bit lighter and stretchier towards the back where you have to put your foot in. I do have to say getting your foot in is actually pretty difficult, but once it's in, it's very snug. On the lateral and medial sides, you'll have the 3 stripes done in a black TPU on both sides. I do really like the way it looks. My only issue is that my top TPU thing over there, there's actually already a scratch on it, and I haven't worn these out. I've only worn these inside, so it's been raining a lot in New York. So it's been interesting. The other thing I really like about the sneaker, and this is actually outside of, I feel like Nike's Fly Wire. I don't think it does exactly the same thing because it doesn't seem like it extends into the midfoot area, but the lacing system here looks exactly like Fly Wire with, you know, with little kind of like wraparound pieces of string. It also has a very similar fuse that is done right below that string so that it's holding the laces and it's reinforced. Kind of going up the rest of the sneaker, you do have flat style lacing for running purposes, and then at the very top of it you have an Adidas logo done in a gold. At the very back of it, you have the 4D FWD, and what I love about this logo is that the FWD looks like the fast forward logo on a VCR. For anyone that's too young for a VCR, you'll have to Google what that is, but ultimately it is a video player that uses cassette tapes to play things. But it's a really interesting kind of like logo. Love that logo design, and it also has orange flare in the very back. It is also really high, which I thought I wouldn't like. I typically don't like these things like on the Yeezy Boost 380 Boost. Didn't love it. Kind of like without long socks, it kind of like digs into my foot. But over here, it actually feels pretty good. And just to note that this is a piece of like kind of suede or felt type material going up the middle over here. Finally, moving into the midsole, which is where things get interesting. It is done in a white, and like I said earlier in the rundown, there is a orange type of kind of either spray paint or something down the middle, which I think is interesting. It makes it have this really cool effect when you look into it, where it looks like very similar to, like I said earlier, Nike Air. You know, it has a contrasting color on the inside, which I do like, and I feel like it pops out a little bit more. And I do like this white 4D technology over the kind of like light green, mint green that they typically have. And for the most part, it actually collapses really easily, which I think is interesting because I've never been able to bend 4D like this, where it kind of looks like this. Kind of almost looks like when Boost collapses, which is kind of cool. On the outsole, you have a rubber outsole done in this diamond pattern. The interesting part is that there are flex grooves in here, but I feel like the flex grooves don't do very much. I think one of the biggest issues with 4D that I have is that the flex of the sneaker just really isn't where you typically want it to flex. All right, so what are my thoughts on this sneaker? I'm very lukewarm about it. I wanted to love it, but ultimately, there's a couple gripes that I have. One, the 4D tech is just not there yet. I hope it gets there. Maybe it's the materials themselves that are the issue. But I do want Adidas' hope and future with 4D to come to fruition. What I do like is that the drop in price makes these a lot more affordable, and people can wear them without needing to worry too much. But I do like the way it looks quite a bit. The color blocking, the 4D tech in terms of how it looks is awesome. You know, the only other knock I have on the sneaker is that the Primeknit is super tight when I put it on, but you know, with most Primeknit and most knit sneakers in general, that should go away relatively quick. And that's it, guys. If you guys like this content, definitely hit the like button as well as subscribe button down below. If you have any questions on 4D tech, sizing, or anything like that, definitely leave that in the comments. Would you pick up a pair of this 4D? What's your experience with 4D been? Definitely also let me know in the comments below. But until next time, this is the Adidas 4D FWD, done in the Tokyo colorway. Peace.